Hello guys, Brad here again, and today I thought I would tackle a very sensitive yet rather important topic in the fragrance community right now, and it's this whole issue of base notes versus YouTube, so forth. Um, in case you didn't know what Base Notes is a website, basenotes.net, and it's a very informative and useful resource for fragrance people. They do reviews, they have forums, and you can have a lot of fun over there. You can mention topics and do discussions, do reviews, and I've been a member for many years, well before I started my fragrance channel. But unfortunately, we do have this sort of tension between the groups. Then we have the YouTube group, we have the Basenote group. Even though many of us are members of both, we feel like we have to choose sides sometimes, and that's unfortunate. But what I thought I would do is just do a video where I just kind of talk about the pros and cons of both groups, and then maybe give my final thoughts, and open up the comment section down below and see how people feel about this whole situation. So first of all, let's start with YouTube. What are the pros of YouTube? Well, first of all, number one, you get to know the reviewer quite well. The video format allows you to see the face, get to know the personality, who you're actually dealing with, and I think that's very important. It makes it a lot easier to align your tastes with that of another reviewer, and that could be very helpful. Number two, YouTube is a very entertaining format. Um, We've all had a lot of laughs watching videos on YouTube, spoofing and just antics and things like that. So there's that aspect. And number three, more detail. We've seen reviews go on for 20 or 30 minutes. It pretty much covers every single base you can possibly imagine. So very informative like that. So those are just three things about YouTube videos that I think are good. There's probably others that I haven't mentioned. And the cons of being on YouTube. Number one, hype. A lot of fragrance reviewers will build a lot of hype for otherwise mediocre fragrances. And you start to feel that they're trying to say, you need to have this fragrance to be cool like me, or you're just not in the in group. And that can create some problems, I think. Number two is the tendency to review the same stuff. There's probably, I don't know, how many different reviews for like La Nuit, Bleu de Chanel, Dior Homme. A lot of the fragrances on YouTube are basically just group favorites that the same reviewers keep rehashing over and over, and it just kind of gives it more of a large database for a couple fragrances and hardly anything for most fragrances. And number three, reluctance to do negative reviews. A perfect example of this is Terry Mugler's Angel Men. If you look at Basenotes, it's a pretty even, love-hate thing. On YouTube, it seems like pretty much everybody loves it. The people that love it can't stop talking about it. The people that don't like it don't talk about it hardly at all. It gives you the impression that, Amen is the perfect fragrance, when really it isn't for many people. Now, Basenotes, the pros we have there is the comprehensive listings. Pretty much any fragrance you can think of is there, not necessarily with reviews, but it gives you note breakdowns for many fragrances, the year of release, and usually there are at least a few reviews, if not a lot of reviews. Number two, meat and potatoes reviews. In other words, they just get to the basics. Does it smell good or not? Done. None of this, going on and on about bottles and boxes, serial numbers, parfumés. Just gets to the basics. You could probably read 30 or 40 reviews on Basenotes in the time it would take you to watch one video. And number three, for the pros, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Gives you the full spectrum, everybody's opinion, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. It isn't just, the people the fanboys chiming in. It's the people that hate it as well. So it gives you a good overview of the fragrance, the good points and the bad points, so you can make a more informed decision. The cons of Basenotes: downtime. If you're a member of Basenotes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The site crashes a lot. They're down for maintenance. Very frustrating. If you log on 10 times, it's probably down 2 or 3 of those times. YouTube is usually pretty consistent and not going to give you that frustration. Number 2, accusations of snobbery. Now, this is where a lot of the tension lies, I think, between YouTube and Basenotes. Sometimes you'll see threads or discussions talking about certain people on YouTube, you know, how annoying they are, how they hype fragrances, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that's unfortunate, I guess. Some people are very sensitive about that type of thing. Personally, I think it's pretty amusing. Sometimes I'm a little bit jealous that I'm not popular enough to get more hate. You know, it's like, why don't people talk about me like that more often? You know, 'cause I find it pretty funny. But, yeah, there are, you know, usually at some point, you know, threads sometimes get off topic, and next thing you know, they're trashing on YouTube reviewers. Number 3 for cons: bashing bestsellers. This is another big thing. A lot of favorites in the fragrance community on YouTube: Bloody Chanel, DRM Sport. A lot of times you go over there and they don't like the fragrance. You know, even though it's a big seller, gets lots of compliments, they kind of bemoan the fact that, well, Chanel isn't the same as it used to be, or Dior isn't up to their standard stuff, you know, and so they pan the fragrance. They don't really just smell a fragrance and give it high marks on merit, you know, and good smell. They just kind of try to compare it with previous offerings from the house, and they just kind of, you know, bash the fragrance for no good reason, it seems, for a lot of people anyway. So that's what I have there: 3 pros, 3 cons for each. So in final closing here, I'd just like to say that when I started my journey, I was really into Basenotes. I did a lot of, you know, time on the forums, reading reviews, helping me guide my purchasing, sampling, blind buying even, and it was great. These days, I spend more time on YouTube because I do have my own channel and I do a lot of videos. So for me, I think when I was just starting out, Basenotes was a very informative website. Now that I see myself more as like a mentor and senior member of the community, I like to spend more time over at YouTube giving back. So hopefully I'm helping people out that way. I still occasionally go back to Basenotes because, you know, there are a lot of very good reviewers over there, and they can really help you out. You know, you never really learn everything you need to know in the fragrance game. So it's good to, you know, touch base with your roots a little bit. Like I said, though, unfortunately, there can be some tension there, though. So it's kind of interesting how that works out. But I think fragrances tend to bring out the worst in people sometimes. So comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole Basenotes and YouTube thing. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.